Newsmax, one doesn't go to the New York Times or CNN if one wants the truth about Democrats. That's why conservative media is essential and why the cancel culture is trying to, well, shut us up. The left's legacy of lies. That's our focus on today's preamble. To put CNN and the New York Times' focus on alleged Trump lies in perspective, look at all the lies the left-wing media has been ignoring from Joe Biden.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I did not march with a 12-point program. I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes, and we changed attitudes.
I just want to say a number: 0. Today, we received news that our economy had 0% inflation.
I haven't had a house burned down with my wife in it. She got out safely, God willing.
These guys all became my family, all the conductors. And a guy named Angelo Negri came up and he goes, "Joey, baby!" Grabs my cheek like that. And I thought they were going to shoot him. I really did. I said, no. He's a friend. Average 131 days a year, 257 miles a day. Joey, you traveled over 2 million miles. Big deal. Of course I take responsibility. I'm president, but it was horrible what to see, as you saw. To see people treated like they did, horses barely running them over, people being strapped. It's outrageous. I promise you those people will pay.
You know, I guess Maggie Haberman would have to write an entire encyclopedia. But it's not just the web of lies told by left-wingers that the corrupt press ignores. They also ignore traits that the left wing projects onto their political opposition, traits like racism.
So I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community at home politically.
Lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions. We have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity.
Some of the farmers and the growers saying, why are you shipping these immigrants up north? We need them to pick the crops down here.
Those are just a few of the recent examples of the Democrats' racism ignored by the left-wing propaganda artists masquerading as news people. Let's isolate one of those bits of bigotry for further analysis.
So I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community at home politically.
Here Joe Biden claims to have been raised politically by the vast population of Puerto Ricans in Delaware. Not surprisingly, Joe Biden's statement strains credulity, as according to the 1970 U.S. Census, Delaware had about 2,154 people who were either born in Puerto Rico or descended from Puerto Rican parents. That's roughly 0.39% of the state's population of nearly 550,000 people in the 1970s. But Joe Biden's words are also racist, claiming that he, arguably a man responsible for unleashing the most left-wing, destructive, anti-American government in U.S. history, claims that he was raised politically by Puerto Ricans. The insulting, bigoted, and absurd claim that Puerto Ricans are every bit the left-wing extremists that Joe Biden is, and are just as prone to lies, plagiarism, and lawless behavior as Joe Biden is, reaffirms the bigoted nature of the Democrat Party. But there's a reason he is uttering such lies and bigotry, my friends. Hispanics, yes, even Puerto Ricans, are taking notice of how the left is destroying the United States. I have to do something here I'm unaccustomed to doing. I have to give credit to NBC for reporting actual factual news. Let's not ignore the fact that things have become so bad under Democrat rule. NBC couldn't ignore this story any longer and maintain their own credibility. First, NBC discovered that Liberty Loving Latinos are rising in the United States, thanks in part to courageous leaders like Texas Congresswoman Mayra Flores.
What does the Congresswoman represent for you all?
She is that Latina or Hispanic woman that is saying enough is enough, that our values matter.
Here in the Valley, we are for God, for family, for hard work.
Our taxes are at an all-time high in a place where the median income is $35,000 a year, which is ridiculous.
We are not to be taken advantage of. We are not to be assumed that because we're Hispanic, we're naturally going to vote Democratic.
The border's a disaster. We just sent a small amount of people from Texas to D.C., and the mayor's calling that a state of emergency. It's nothing what we have to deal with down here, nothing.
We were already conservatives. We were already with conservative values. It's just nobody noticed. They took us for granted. The party, the Democratic Party, left me.
But NBC didn't stop there. As millions of Hispanics changed their votes, declaring that they, the Hispanics, love their children, love their families, love their cities and their country more than they love the Democrat Party, Latinos are signaling that the Democrats' anti-God, anti-work, anti-rule of law values are not American Latinos' values.
In conservative stronghold states like Texas, signs of a political shift among Latino voters, with more now leaning Republican.
You were a Democrat and you are now a Republican. Why?
Because the fact that the Democratic Party has changed a lot and identify more with the Republican Party.
What things?
Well, we're for God, country, family, and hard work.
What are the concerns that you have about immigration?
The fact of the matter is that we don't feel safe anymore.
We don't feel safe anymore. I'm confident in my belief that Maggie Haberman and CNN won't be reaching out to disaffected Democrat Latinos or conservative Latinos to make sure their voices are heard. I, your Liberty Loving Latino, have never received an invite to appear on CNN, though CNN Digital did a fair piece on my perspective at one point. A few years back, MSNBS extended an invite to me and rescinded it, and I knew why. They couldn't allow the country to learn of the rise of the Liberty Loving Latino. As we have told you, the left wing is dominated, the left-wing press is dominated and pushes this narrative over news. In this case, it might backfire on the Democrats. Here's hoping.